Hi class, and welcome to Chapter 2, Lesson 1. You're going to be doing fractions and decimals. Now, I want you to write down the learning objective. I will write decimals as fractions and fractions as decimals. And then I want you to also write down the big idea. Any number that can be written as a fraction is a rational number. If it's a decimal, 3 and 25/100ths, it could be written as a mixed number. That's a rational number. If it's 29/100ths, that can also be written as a fraction, 29 as numerator, 100 as denominator. And of course, if you can always simplify, you do. So basically, any number that can be written as a fraction is also a rational number. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to try some of these examples today to make sure you've got it, and you can always refer back to this video. So let's take a look. I want you to pause it right here so that all the students can write this down, and when we're ready to go, we'll press play again. Okay, so now we're ready to do the examples. Let's start off with my first example here. I have written, for example, A up here. It says 0.6 or 6/10. How do I know? Well, if I look in my chart here that I've written, and you also have an example of this chart in your book, you'll see that there's a decimal, there's a 0.6, and there's a decimal, and it must line up in the place value chart exactly like that. So there's a 0, there's my big dot for my decimal here, and then there's 6. This lands in the 10th spot. So let me make this a little bit bigger, make sure you can see. Kind of hard. Hopefully you can see that. This is the 6/10. TENTHS, that denotes a decimal. 6/10, and it lands in the 10th spot. So when I go to write 6/10, it should look like this. I'm going to make it big right here. Oh, oops. 6/10. It lands in the 10th spot. It should have a 10 underneath. Then if I can simplify it, which I can here, you can divide this by 2. You get 3/5. Let me try my next example. 45/100ths. It's 0.45. 0, here's the decimal, so it must land here. 4, 5. Wow, it lands in the 100th spot. Therefore, my denominator has to have 100 as well. So I go 45/100ths. And then, if I can, I simplify, which you always want to do, equals 9/20. You can make your trees with your matching shoes, remember that? And then you can simplify it. I'm not going to go through all of that because I already taught that. The next one is example C, 0.375. We got to line it up. 0 must be here because the decimal goes next. 375. Look at that. The 5 lands in the 1,000th spot. Guess what the denominator should be? 1,000. So I put that number, don't put the 0, just the 375, and you put it over 1,000 because it lands in the 1,000th spot. That's important. And then I go ahead and I simplify this. You make your trees, but if it ends with a 5 and it ends with a 0, you can always simplify by 5 and keep doing that. Anyways, at the end, you're going to get 3/8. Okay? Always simplify your fractions. Also, make your trees if you don't know what the GCF is. Match it up, and then you'll figure it out. At this place, we're going to put pause, because you're going to do got it on page 90, A, B, and C. Pause. Okay, so now the answer for letter A, if you simplified it, should be 4/5. Yes, you do have to simplify. B is 7/25, and C is 1/8. All of these must be simplified. You should be making your trees, like I taught you. We're going to go ahead now and do the next example, which is example D. Now we have a number in the ones place. Example D says 9.25. 9 has to be over here in front of the decimal. So 9.25. 9.25. Now look at that, 9.25. I matched it up, lined it up, and the break, or I'm breaking these two, because I have a whole 9 pies, whole 9 cakes, I don't know what I have, but there's 9 of those. Over here, they took that other piece, the 10th piece, and they cut it up into 2500ths. So 9 is my whole number. It's in front of the decimal. It's away from the fraction. I always tell the kids to imagine that the decimal kind of broke that piece off, and there you go. It's off of the fraction. Now I have 25, and it lands in the hundredth spot. That means I have to have 100 underneath here. So now all I have to do is simplify this fraction. And you use 25, obviously, and you have 9 1/4 simplified. And that's my answer. Again, don't forget to simplify, really important. Really easy. What we're going to remember is, if you have a number in front of the decimal, you stick it in that place value chart, you put the rest of it wherever it goes and wherever it ends, that's the amount you have to have as the denominator. So here in this example, where I had 9.25, the 5 landed in the 100th spot, and you must have 100 as your denominator, and you also must simplify each fraction. Okay? Now you're going to do, got it on page 91, E through G. You're going to press pause here, and I come back to you with the answers. Okay? Okay, so now the answers. Letter E is 0.6. Letter F is 0.56. And letter G is 0.408. Oh, I'm sorry, you're supposed to do D. D is 4 and 13/20 quart. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Now we're going to do the next example. It gives you a fraction, and they're asking you to make a decimal. So here it says, write 9/12. Here's the fraction, 9/12, but they want you to make it into a decimal. Now you got to switch it around. So here we're going to have, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can just simply give an equivalent fraction. So kids like to do this way. They go, okay, does something times 12 give me 100? Can I get to the 100 place? And so they might simplify it first, because they want the denominator to equal 100. So here I'm like, nothing times 12 gives me 100. But if I simplify this, if I divide it by 3, I get 3/4. If you have 3/4, then you say, wait a minute, 4 times something gives me 100. 4 times what? 25. So I'll go 3/4. I multiply that by 25. You get 100, which you're trying to get. And then you multiply the top by 25, you get 75. 75 hundredths. 75 hundredths, if it landed in here, would look like that. 0.75. So my answer is 0.75. Remember, this works when you're trying to make the denominator equal 100. It always works. There is another way, which is, the kids love this way, and you might love this way as well. I start off with the fraction. They want me to make a decimal. All I do is divide. Top dog always goes in the house, so 12 is on the outside, 9 is on the inside. Uh-oh, 12 doesn't go into 9. I put a decimal. I elongate the bar. I add a 0 because I need to. Then I have 12 goes into 90, and you have 7. 12 times 7 is 84. I subtract. I get 6. I get a 60. Oh, this is easy. It's 75 hundredths. Oh, there's a decimal. I didn't have to plug it into the chart. You can always divide as well. Remember, the numerator, top dog, always goes in the house. You're going to have to add a decimal, and you keep on trucking until you get 0, or it starts to repeat. But you got to keep on dividing until that happens. The other way is to get an equivalent fraction. You've got to get the denominator to equal 100. And when you do that, you got the decimal. Okay? Now you're going to try it. This is where you do the got it. You do it on page 91. You're going to just do E and F. And press pause here. Okay, now that you're back, E should be 0.6, F should be 0.56. If there is any time in class, you're going to start your homework with, do the guided practice, guided practice on page 92, 1 through 6. Okay, begin, and then the teacher's going to read the answers out when you are done, or put them under the document camera so you can see them, which is the better way to go. And I'm going to upload this video so you can have it. If there's any time left over, guess what? Start your homework. Yes! Bye!